So I've been waiting patiently for this to come on. Today was the premiere of the assassination of Gianni Versace, an American crime story. Let's talk about part one.
And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to pull my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag in all its forms. What, Cookie?
Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. As I said, I've been really waiting patiently for this. I love FX and just how they do what they do and how they move. This is my review for part one of the assassination of Gianni Versace, an American crime story. We start right off July the 15th, 1997. Of course, I was around for all of this when this actually took place and everything. I remember hearing about Gianni Versace being killed. I don't really remember all the inner workings of the case. It was nothing like when the O.J. Simpson thing took place, how it just took over the television and all of that. And it's so crazy because you would think, because I'm into fashion and all that, that it would have bombarded my world, but it didn't really. It was kind of one of those little shady things where it just didn't take precedence over everything the way that the OJ thing did. And whereas it really was as crazy of a case as the OJ thing. But anyway, we go ahead and talk about it. It is what it is. So we start off July 15th, 1997, right there in Miami Beach, Florida. And it's basically starting off, we're seeing Gianni basically getting up, and the actor, oh my God, looks just like him. Just like him. I mean, they got him done to look just like him. Just like him. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. But anyway, it's like looking at Gianni. But anyway, so you see the beautiful house and just seeing the way he lives. And it was just very, very interesting. Very interesting. He's just going about his regular day. And all the things he did before 9 o'clock in the morning, because he was literally pronounced dead at 9:21 a.m. So, that just that little piece of time before 9 o'clock when he was actually shot around 9 a.m. And he's doing what he's doing. And then at the same time, we see Andrew Cunanan, the guy who actually killed Gianni Versace. And we see him and his weird ass and the things that he's doing that morning. He's basically on the beach with a book bag that has a gun in it, and also a book about Vogue. And it's all this just craziness. We get to see right away that he is a very intelligent individual and a very sick individual. And they made a point to show he had this sore on his leg. And I said, is that like a lesion that was on his leg? So I don't really know exactly what that's all about, but I'm sure it's going to open up to, we'll figure out more about that later. But he had like this lesion on his leg when he got into the water. He walks into the water and he's like screaming like a crazy person would. I said, this bastard's crazy. Something going on with him. He's crazy. So I was like, okay, so this is what we see of him. And then we actually see the actual murder. We see Andrew run into this little dirty bathroom somewhere. It's like a dirty public bathroom, and he's like throwing up. I don't know what that's all about, but he's throwing up. And then he looks, and there's on the wall some derogatory gay slur that's on the wall in the bathroom in the stall that he's in. And it's just he's just, everything in his world is just not right. And he takes off and he's going on about his way. Next we see Gianni picks up some fashion magazines. And the one thing that I did see, I didn't like it, and I have to say this. I have to say it. Gianni was very nice to the people who work. It seems as though he's very nice to the people who the servants that worked in the house, because it's a gorgeous mansion. Very nice to them, very welcoming to them. He came out of the gate. He let himself out of the gate, and there was a man and a woman, and they had their magazine. They're like, Gianni Versace, oh my God, can you sign it? And he turned to them and he said, oh no, I'm sorry, not today. I don't care. I don't care how big that I ever get doing anything that I'm doing. And I think this, and I can say this because I've been here a very long time, 46 years old. I've been here a very long time. I know me. There's no amount of money or fame that I will ever reach that I will be in a position where I will not stop to sign my name onto something that has to do with me. I mean, I just didn't get that. I don't get where anybody gets into that thing where, I'm not going to take the time. People make you, no matter what career you choose. And especially like, because he does fashion designers, child, the people make us. It could turn on and it could turn off. You ain't doing nothing no different than nobody else. When it comes to fashion, there is nothing that you can do that has not already been done. That's why you can't trademark designs and you can't copyright design. You can't trademark designs. You can't. You could trademark your logo. You could trademark, different things about your business, but an actual clothing design, you can't, because everything that you do has already been done 9 million times. You ain't figuring out no new way to cut no pattern. You're not figuring out a new way to make no collar, child. Somebody already did it. So that was problematic for me. That bothered me. I was like, wow, no, not today. Well, fuck you tomorrow. It's just too easy to kill your brand doing that. And that's crazy. Anyway, all right, I done got all off. I went up on my soapbox, but bam, and I'm back. Let's go. Okay, so he goes on off and he's doing his little thing. He buys his little fashion magazines and then he comes back home. And as he's letting himself into the gate, Andrew Cunanan is like actually across the street, and he's literally goes in the bag, gets the gun out, and just literally walks up right up on him. And he's like, Gianni. And when Gianni turns around, he just bam, 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 shot him dead right there on the steps. And he wasn't pronounced dead at the scene. He died 20 minutes later at the hospital. And by that time, some of the people had come out. They've heard the gunshots. So some of the people who are working in the house have come forward. You see the boyfriend, who's actually being played by Ricky Martin, and he comes and he's like, "Oh my God!" And he's holding him. He's saying, "Somebody call the ambulance," and all of this stuff. And it was very quickly we started to see the craziness and the pandemonium that started to surround the situation, like the craziness of people already. There was a guy who literally just took off and he ran around the corner and goes to his car and grabs this Polaroid camera and runs back and snaps a picture. He snaps a picture. And as soon as the ambulance and that finally comes, they get Gianni and they take him off. This guy's standing in the crowd. Paparazzi that showed up by this time. He's standing around saying, "I got the only picture of Gianni. I'm selling for $30 million. That's $30 million or $30,000. I think he was cheap. I think he said $30,000. Cheap bastard. But I mean, just sick. Then there was a woman who broke through the barrier, ran over. She ripped the page out of a Vogue and ran over there and rubbed the photo. It was a Gianni Versace ad, and rubbed the ad into the blood. I was like, people are sick. Like, they are literally sick and twisted. I was like, this is crazy. Crazy shit. So I was like, okay. All right, I see. And I remember some of that crazy. Some of that craziness I do remember. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So that's that. Then we actually end up coming back. And now we are at October of 1990, which is the time when Andrew Cunanan actually met Gianni Versace, and we start to see more about Andrew, because that's basically, I think, a lot of what this story is going to cover is Andrew and Donatella is what I believe that we're going to be covering a lot of. Yeah, so October 1990. We actually see Andrew entering a bedroom, and there's a woman and a man, and they're laying in the bed. Real nice house. Real nice house. They're laying in the bed, and he has on like just a t-shirt and some underwear or whatever, and he is kind of like standing there, and he stands on the side of the bed where the man is, and he's like staring at him, and then he starts to grope himself, and then the woman like opens her eyes, and then he's like, "Hey," and he jumps in the bed with the two of them, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on, child?" And then we figure out right away that these people are friends of his. They are friends of his, and I don't know if he was actually looked like he kind of might have been living with them, you know, like living in their house. Because we figure out really quickly he's nothing. He's nothing. Period. He is very much an irritate. He irritated me really, really bad. Like everything that we found out about him in this episode irritated me. I could just choke his goddamn throat. But he was very manipulative and pretty much a loser that wanted to be something else is what I'm getting from him. But anyway, we'll see as we go forward. It seems as though he was rooming with them. Okay. Staying with them. He jumped up in the bed with them, and I was like, oh. And the guy, you could tell, was kind of irritated. He kind of like looked, y'all know how it goes, honey. The girl that has the real good friend, honey, the good Judy, and he's like, guess who I met last night? I met Gianni Versace, this, that, and the other. So he's taking them through this whole thing of how he met Gianni Versace in the club and this, that, and the other. And he's telling this whole story, which is the complete opposite of what actually happened. You know, he's going on with how Gianni just came on to him and this, that, and the other. When that wasn't exactly what happened. He actually went, a friend of his, another friend, because he's always on the get up, on the come up, introduced him, took him to VIP, introduced him to Gianni, and he basically threw himself into conversation with Gianni because Gianni was paying him dust. But he had, like I said, he's very intelligent. He had studied Gianni, all of his background, and he had it down. He had stories for everything. Stories about his parents did this, that, and the other. They were immigrants and they came from here. And it all had to do with something that had to do with Gianni's life before he got here. He just literally manipulated his way into Gianni's life. He wasn't nothing but an old corn artist. He was a corn artist. And Gianni fell for it. And they didn't go real deep, but I'm sure we're going to go deeper into it. But when he was explaining to his little friends about how he met Gianni, he just lied. He's just a liar. He just changed the whole story around like, oh, I'm so much. And I don't really even like Gianni Versace's clothes. I think his clothes are this, that, and the other. And it was no real big deal, but he was just all in my face. And I said, don't we all know somebody like that, child? All know somebody like that, honey, that's putting on all these airs, and it's all about you, honey. Meanwhile, you're a liar. You're a liar. You know, so I was like, ugh. So we went through all that, and I could tell you, just watching this little piece, and then they switched over to a piece where he was actually, when he was in school, and there's like a little guy, this little gay guy, nice little guy, who was, I think he actually liked him. And he just felt like he was a friend, you know, he was just a friend to him, and he wasn't anything, he was beneath where he wanted to be. And he just kind of blew him off, and he was saying to him, he's like, I don't know how to even act around you, you know, most of the time, because who are you? Like, are you this person that you are pretending to be, or are you, I don't know who you are half of the time. And I was like, wow. Okay, so we were getting a full picture of how he just is a mess. He is a mess. And he was telling him about the whole Gianni Versace thing. And he's like, aren't you're supposed to be happy for me, this, that, and the other. He wasn't happy for you because he liked you his goddamn self. But whatever. So very, very early on, Andrew Cunanan had gotten on my last nerve already. Just the way they depict him, he was irritating the hell out of me. Um, yeah, irritating, very irritating person. He's a liar and a con artist. So, I just couldn't with him. Anyway, so moving on. All right, so then we flip back into present time. And Andrew literally just ran off from the scene. One of the workers from the house actually chased him, away from the scene. He came out first, and then Ricky Martin came out behind him. He chased him. He ran down the alley, and he got so far down the alley, and then Andrew Cunanan turned around and put the gun on him, drew the gun on him, and he just kind of like backed up. And then he took off and continued running. So he knew exactly. I said, good. At least somebody knows, has a description of who actually did it. So that was that. He went, and then we saw him actually run. He goes and gets into this red truck, and he changes his clothes and all that. But as he's in the red truck, this is when we see his crazy. He's stone cold mad. He's in there, and he literally was very happy, very pleased with himself and what he had done, and he was laughing. You just killed a person, like literally at point blank range, you killed him, and you're laughing and kee-heeing and carrying on, and you're all happy with yourself. And he managed to get away. He managed to get away. This is the part that we're seeing in the first part. He had gotten away. So by this time, we see some part where they're actually interviewing the boyfriend. So he's been a boyfriend for 15 years. Okay. And they were naturally, the investigators are pulling him apart and trying to get information about what's going on. And they're questioning him. And they had gone right into this realm. Remember, we're talking about 1997 here. So all of what's really openly discussed now is not being discussed back in 97. Like, they were even having a problem with, like, and what are you to him again? Partner. What do you mean by that? I was like, oh, y'all are doing too much. You know what he means. They were playing that game. And then they were saying, they had even gone into this conversation about other men. Like, they're trying to figure out who the suspects are going to be. So they're trying to figure out about these other men. And this is when the Ricky Martin character was sitting there saying how, I would get other guys and bring them to the house. And sometimes Gianni would have sex with him, and sometimes he wouldn't. Sometimes he just watched me have sex with him. And sometimes we had sex with them together. I was like, okay, so they were a couple that were real comfortable with their stuff. But he had been with them for 15 years. So he had been going through all this stuff, and he's telling it and everything. And they even had gone into were they paid? He's like, sometimes they were, and sometimes they were just enamored with him and they didn't get paid. I was like, oh my God. So by this time, Donatella had actually shown up, baby. Donatella was so cold. She's cold. She came in there, honey, and she told Ricky, put the investigators out. She put them out, and she's sharp. They got Penelope Cruz. She is so clean. Do you hear me? And all her Versace stuff. I said, girl, come on through, Penelope. She rolled through there, and I said, baby, they cast the mess out of this because Donatella Versace is fierce. She really is. If you know anything about Donatella Versace, and if you don't, go and Google Donatella Versace. Donatella Versace always is so goddamn clean. You just be like, you know what, girl, go ahead. Just go ahead. But that's what Gianni has said. The first dress I ever made was for my sister, Donatella. He loved his sister. Donatella and Gianni were like this, honey. He loved his sister. And this is what we're seeing in the thing. Because as we go forward, Donatella's like, business as usual. My brother would want his business to carry on. His business as usual. I said, girl, come on. She literally stepped right in. And I guess it's her husband that was with her. That had come in with her when she got off the jet. I was like, girl, come on through, Miss Donatella. But she's cold, baby. She rolled in there on that boyfriend and was giving very much up. You don't speak until I tell you what it is that you're saying. Said, there's only one thing we asked you to do is to take care of me. You couldn't even do that. I said, oh, come on, Donatella, really? And the boy still had his little tennis outfit with the blood and stuff all on. I was like, Donatella, you doing too much. But, that's rich folks, honey. I said, oh, she was cold. Very, very cold to him. And then went and, like, they just were cold. I don't know. I guess it's a lot of grief and whatever, but they were cold. Very cold to him. Nobody really tried to embrace him and try to, I don't know. I can't wait to see if they're going to go further into the background story of how he came to be a part of the family or whatever. Because baby Donatella was cold with him, like, listen. And that's what she said. She's like, honey, they're going to try. She said, this is what's going to happen. It's going to be a media frenzy. They're going to try to discredit and tear my brother's name apart. And it's not happening. So I understood that stuff. And especially with the gay thing. She was right. She was right about that. But I was like, damn, she was so cold to him. But anyway, so at some point during this, we figure out that Andrew Cunanan was actually he was the lead suspect and all of that. They figured that stuff out really quickly. And there was a woman who worked at a check cashing place. And she came and was like, yeah, she put them on the trail to some things because they were saying, she said, I reported 7 days before the murder even happened that there was a gold coin, a gold Versace coin that Andrew Cunanan had come into a check cashing place and actually pawned for they gave him like $190 for it. And it struck her as strange. She had reported it to the FBI 7 days prior. 7 days prior to the murder. So had the FBI really been on their job, may not have even happened. We found out later on that Andrew Cunanan actually had been being seeked out by the FBI and already had 4 murders under his belt. And the one FBI agent had like a trunk full of these flyers, that should have been up and handed out of people of interest way before Gianni was even murdered. I said, you have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding. Now, I don't remember any of this stuff going on. I said, oh my gosh. It was just too much. Too much negligence. I said, are you kidding me? And then I looked around and, like I said, how Donatella was doing things and how she moved. She had them put out a statement that night, the same night, on the 15th of July of 97. Baby, they put a statement out that no one in the family had any knowledge of Andrew Cunanan or dealings with him. And that's not true. That's not true. I said, oh my gosh. I said, this is a mess. This is all a money game, honey. And this is basically all that was covered in this first episode. I am so here for this. But yeah, this is deep. I can see why they chose this story to tell. Because again, it's just like that OJ story. A lot of non-truths and a lot of money. Child, this is going to be interesting. Y'all keep watching. I'm going to keep on reviewing. This is too much. Too much. Too much. But I'm telling you now, Andrew Cunanan, I can't with him. Oh, his personality. I said, oh, Charlie too crazy and he's just a liar. Oh my God. Anyway, keep watching. I'll see you guys next week.